I think when I say the word purge to people, it gets this overwhelming fear that we are going to be getting rid of all of your things, right? So I never walk into a client's home and say, all right, let's purge all your things, you know. However, it is part of decluttering, and which is part of the first phase of organizing, right? But again, I think it has kind of this nasty underlining, or maybe this nasty kind of feeling to it. It just kind of an icky feeling, if you will. People get intimidated, they get nervous. How do you feel when I say the word purge or purging? Maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're a total minimalist and you just want to throw everything away. I guess if you are, you probably wouldn't be watching this video, because I'm going to give you kind of the how, why, who, what, when, where, how tips on purging. But again, for a lot of people, I think it makes us a little bit uneasy, okay? But picture this, you're walking through your home, you're getting ready to move. How are you feeling about your things, right? So aside from the fact that maybe you're moving for something happy or maybe something not so happy, those feelings aside, but how are you feeling about the things that are holding space in your home, about packing them up, putting them into boxes and taking them with you? Are you overwhelmed at the massive amount of things that you have? Are you frustrated because not all of it's yours? Maybe some of it's your children's and they just haven't claimed it. Or another situation, maybe you've passed on, okay? And you are now leaving your home to your children or to a loved one. How are they feeling about walking around your home and navigating it? Are they overwhelmed by kind of all the stress that they feel from having to go through these things? Or have you left them intentional items, things that are sentimental to you that they will want to hold on to as keepsakes? These are things to think about. I know some of this sounds morbid, but it's reality, right? So things happen and we have to move, or, you know, we pass on and someone will be left to deal with our things if we don't do it ahead of time, you know? So I have a couple different situations right now with clients. So one situation is that I have a elderly couple and they have grown kids, but those kids don't have a lot of space of their own. Okay, I went through the same thing with my parents, and I think a lot of kids do. You move out of the house, but you're not really on your own, but you don't really have a lot of space. And then maybe our parents just hold on to our things for entirely too long. And what's happening for these clients of mine is that they're not able to truly navigate their space well because they're holding on to so much things of their kids. And it's really not fair. So there has to come a point where we tell our loved ones that they've got to get their things, right? So first of all, if you are interested in purging your things, which I highly recommend everyone doing, and again, I'm not saying by purging things, you're purging all of your things and you're not living, you know, bare bones. That is not what I'm trying to say here, but I am wanting to give you some freedom in your space and freedom in your mind. And when you do purge some of your things, you'll feel some of that. So the first thing is to kind of ask yourself why you're wanting to purge and set a goal from that. So again, referencing those clients, their goal is to be able to as they get older, to be able to navigate their home properly and easily, make things accessible to them. They've got closets and stuff that just have their children's items and they're running out of space, right? Or, you know, for a long time, they kind of left their son's room pretty much how it was, but, you know, they want to use it now as an art room for her, or, you know, so having that freedom to be able to do what you want, but setting goals of really why do you want to do it? Do you want to create actual space in your home, or maybe some space in your brain, you know, less stress that you want to kind of deal with? A lot of times our things pile up and we don't realize the weight we're carrying with them, and it's causing us stress in our everyday lives that we can easily sometimes easily, sometimes not so easily, but that we can manage and that we can work through. So the first thing is to set that goal. It can be whatever you want, but set a goal. That's good for anything, right? So then you really know why, the kind of the why behind your doing it, and it'll help you to achieve that goal. Okay, the next thing that after you've set your goals, tell your family members or tell your roommates or tell your loved ones your goals, especially if they're a part of them. You know, hey, your things are at my house. I want to start kind of, I don't want to say phasing them out, but you know, let's make a plan for you to get them in your own space. Or maybe we need to get like a storage unit, something like that. But then they can really understand where you're coming from and you can work with them to get their things out. Or even if it's not their own things, you know, maybe you're saying, okay, listen, I want to be intentional about the things that I'm leaving you. Again, this is probably speaking to a little bit of an older crowd in some of these sentiments, but you know, I want to be intentional about what I'm leaving you. Do you guys want X, Y, and Z? You know, here's what I'm thinking. Do you want me to leave these things? Because sometimes our parents, our grandparents, whoever, they leave us things that we may not really want. And I think that most people don't want to burden other people with those things. So if they knew ahead of time that we don't really want these, maybe it could be someone else could use them better, then they would be fine with that, and we can make a plan for how those things leave our home and who they go to, where they go to. Another reason why we want to kind of share our goals with our loved ones, maybe it's either it's someone living in your house or outside of your house, but they can support you in those goals however they can, right? So if you're wanting to purge a lot of your things, but your partner at your home is not, you're gonna kind of feel some tension, and you're probably gonna have to kind of figure out how to work through that, especially if you have a lot of shared things. Now, of course, if you have your own things, you can do what you want with them. And hopefully, if you're not on the same page, they'll see, oh wow, she has so much freedom after she's done some of this purging. I want in on that. But again, just to be on the same page of things and to have that support, you know, how can I support you in your goals? I've rarely had someone, you know, if I've shared my goals to someone, they don't usually say, I really don't want to help you at all. I don't want to support you, right? They're usually wanting to. And then when you finally start moving into the process of actual purging of your things, start small. Don't say you want to purge your entire home. You may, that may be the final result, the final goal, but start small. Start with a drawer, start with a cabinet, ease your way into your closet, you know, those types of things. Don't overwhelm yourself from the get-go, because I will tell you something, if you have kind of had a long time since you've last done a purge or like a decluttering of your home, it probably will be overwhelming and it may be a slow process. So give yourself grace, start small, take your time, it's okay. You know, just keep moving forward and keep remembering your goal and why you want to achieve this, but start small. Then you can check that off your, you know, your list that you've accomplished it, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and eventually you've moved through your whole home. And of course, another tip, enlist help. If you need help with this, many of us do. Not even if you need help, but if you just want someone there for you, reach out for help, have someone come over and help you with it, be alongside of you. You know, that a lot of times having like an outsider perspective gives you a new perspective, right? So an outsider's opinion gives you a new perspective on your things. So some things to ask yourself when you're, going through this process of purging. Do I love it? Do I really need it? You can go the Marie Kondo way of, does it spark joy? You know, is it useful in my life? Those are the kinds of questions we want to be asking ourselves, and really trying to be pretty ruthless about if they don't fit our checklist that we have, to get rid of them and to let them serve a purpose for someone else, because maybe it will be useful for someone else. Maybe it will really bring a lot of light and love to someone else. And so to be able to give someone else that is a blessing in itself, and it's providing you with some of that freedom. Okay, some places to start. Maybe you're like, okay, I've watched this. I'm got my goals. I've had my support system. Where should I start? Where is the best place to start? Or what are some things that people kind of forget to purge? So let me go over a couple of those things. Your documents, papers. So a lot of times these are the big things for people. So I'll tell you a couple big things. The paper, the amount of paper, and also amount of clothes. I find that like if you haven't gone through your clothes in a long time, people just hold on to things. Their weight fluctuates, so then they don't want to get rid of anything, or it has sentimental value. So those are two really, really, really big things that I see that people sometimes, that could be a good place to start. So documents, as far as knowing what you need, consult your accountant. Here's a PSA. I am not an accountant, but everything I hear, if you want to hold on to your tax records, things for your taxes for 7 years, anything before that, anything older than that, we can probably get rid of as far as those types of things, those types of materials. Okay. Again, consult a professional in that, but we don't have to hold on to every single piece of paper. Another thing is most of the paper we get can also be found online. So that's kind of a freeing thing. If you accidentally throw away a receipt, chances are you'll be able to track it somewhere else. Or, other kinds of paper, artwork, is it like kids artwork? We hold on to a lot of that. Give yourself limits to what you're going to be able to hold on to. You can't hold on to every single piece of paper that your child has ever given you. I truly think it will become just overwhelming in your space. So giving yourself limits. Maybe you get a bin and that's how much you're going to keep of your kids. And what you'll have to do is when that bin fills up, you'll kind of go through it and decide, you know what, I held on to this, but it's really not, maybe it's not that special. Or thinking about what are you going to do with those things? You're holding on to it for yourself, or are you holding on to it to give to your kid in the future? Again, I reference like with our own parents and things that my own parents have done. My mom kept some artwork that I'm like, I don't want this. And she doesn't want it now. You know what I mean? Like I made a fish. It looked like crap. It was like square instead of circular. It was like not, I'm like, can we just get rid of this? And she had held on to it for 30 years or 20 years. So really thinking through, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? If your kids are attached to those things in the moment, I understand that. So we hold on to it and then we can cycle through it as they've gotten older. Maybe they're kind of over some of those things. Or we say, you know what? We're going to display your really, really, really important pieces. Maybe you get some frames or a bulletin board and you say, let's display them, but we're only going to hold on to the really special pieces. Kind of work with your kids, and help them through that process of we just can't hold on to everything. We really will truly become overwhelmed with the amount of paper that we get on an everyday basis. We're moving towards a more, saving the trees and a greener lifestyle and everything being online. But all that being said, we still do get a lot of paper, unfortunately. So then after you've done your purging, trying to maintain that, being intentional about what you're then bringing into your home. If you get a lot of junk mail, maybe requesting that you get off those mailing lists, or you switch to a paperless option and you get it sent via email. Maybe you're buying less clothes, or you're being more intentional about the items that you're purchasing. You're choosing quality over quantity, just being mindful. It really will shift your way of living, I hope, Once you have more freedom in your space, more space in your actual space, right? It will create freedom in your home, but also in your mind. And you want to hold on to that. But again, things just pile up. It just happens, So making sure that you either set a reminder on your calendar or in your phone, wherever you have it, or with a loved one to check back in with you. And every couple months, you kind of just do a quick pulse check and just touch base with yourself, with your home, with your, your partner, see where you're at, and you may have to do it again. Know that it's a process and you'll kind of have to keep coming back to it. It just is what it is. But once you've done it, hopefully it will create that shift for you. Do you have trouble with purging things? Do you find it easy? What are some tips you'd like to see? Was this helpful? I hope so. Leave me your comments. Again, I always want to talk to you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.